Grocery shopping used to be a fairly routine task, something you didn't have to think too much about. It was a regular part of life, a simple errand. But now, it feels less like a routine and more like a financial ambush waiting to happen at every checkout. The prices seem to jump higher every week. You go in for the basics, the staples you need to get through the week, and you leave with a receipt that makes your jaw drop, wondering how the total climbed so high. It's a shock to the system every single time. This year, the average Canadian family of 4 will spend over $16,000 on food, a significant chunk of their annual budget. That's $700 more than last year. It's a relentless increase that's hard to ignore. That extra money has to come from somewhere, doesn't it? It doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's money that could have been spent on vacations, kids' activities, or put away in savings for the future. Prices for everyday items, the things you buy week in and week out, chicken, cheese, even lettuce, the building blocks of a healthy meal, are climbing faster than many people's wages. It's a concerning trend. It's not just an inconvenience or a minor annoyance, it's a real crisis affecting the health and financial security of families across the country. Seniors on fixed incomes and young families just starting out are forced into making incredibly tough choices about what they can afford. The speed of these increases is dizzying. It's hard to keep up with the changing prices from one week to the next. These days, cauliflower now rivals the price of gas for sheer sticker shock. Who would have thought? Every trip to the store is a new test, a constant calculation of what you can realistically afford to put in your cart. Feeding your family shouldn't be a source of constant anxiety and stress, but for many Canadian families, the ever-increasing grocery bill is pushing them closer and closer to the financial brink. This is not just a local problem. It's a national issue that demands attention and action. It's touching every Canadian household, regardless of where they live or their background. Everyone is feeling the pinch. Why are groceries so expensive? It's a perfect storm of problems. A weak Canadian dollar means imports, especially winter produce, cost more. Tariffs and trade disputes with the US add to the bill. Extreme weather droughts, floods disrupt crops and supply chains, driving prices up. Fuel costs make transporting food pricier at every step. Our supply chains are fragile. Even small disruptions mean empty shelves and higher costs. And with just a few big companies controlling most grocery stores, there's little competition to keep prices down. Record profits for grocers show the system isn't working for shoppers. Fewer choices mean higher bills for everyone. Every step of the journey, from the vast wheat fields of the farm to the neatly stocked shelves of your local grocery store, adds cost to the final product. And unfortunately, those costs are not staying stagnant. They're steadily rising, impacting household budgets across the country. Devastating droughts shrink wheat harvests, reducing the overall supply and driving prices upwards. Spiking fuel prices significantly increase the cost of transport, making it more expensive to move goods across the country. And rising energy costs place a heavy burden on mills and bakeries, who rely on power to keep their operations running smoothly. The same challenging economic factors affect beef production. Prolonged drought conditions mean fewer cattle can be raised, inevitably leading to higher beef prices for consumers in the long term. Canada relies heavily on imported food to meet the demands of its population. This reliance is especially pronounced during the long winter months, when domestic production is limited. This dependence makes us particularly vulnerable to the unpredictable nature of global weather patterns and the fluctuations of currency exchange rates. Even a single severe storm in a place like Florida can have a ripple effect, potentially doubling the price of a simple carton of orange juice on Canadian shelves. Each individual link in this complex food supply chain, from the dedicated farmer to the hard-working trucker, the efficient processor, and the local retailer, adds their own necessary markup to cover costs and ensure profitability. So, by the time that food product finally makes its way to the grocery store shelf, it has already been marked up at multiple stages along the way, reflecting the cumulative costs of production and distribution. The current system doesn't simply add costs together, it multiplies them at each stage. This creates an exponential effect, where the final price reflects a compounding of costs rather than a simple sum. Ultimately, Canadian families are left paying the price for a complex and often strained supply chain that's increasingly stretched to its absolute limit. So what can we do to turn the tide and bring prices back down to a reasonable level? It's a question on everyone's mind, and thankfully, there are actionable steps we can take. Here are 7 key ideas, concrete proposals to help alleviate the pressure on Canadian wallets and create a more sustainable and affordable food landscape for all. First, let's establish a national grocery code of conduct. This code will ensure fair play and transparency between the large grocery chains and their suppliers, preventing anti-competitive practices that drive up costs. Second, we need to boost competition within the grocery sector. This can be achieved by making it significantly easier for new, both domestic and international grocery chains to enter the Canadian market, offering consumers more choices and driving down prices through competition. Third, it's crucial to invest strategically in year-round local food production. This includes supporting the development and expansion of innovative agricultural technologies like greenhouses and vertical farms, reducing our reliance on imported produce. Fourth, we must actively support Indigenous food sovereignty. This involves providing dedicated funding to strengthen and revitalize traditional food systems in remote Indigenous communities, ensuring access to culturally appropriate and nutritious food. Fifth, we should carefully consider implementing price caps on essential food items. This would focus on staples like bread and milk, providing a safety net to protect the most vulnerable members of our society from extreme price fluctuations. Sixth, it's essential to fix the persistent supply chain bottlenecks. This requires strategic investments in upgrading and improving our railways, ports, and other critical infrastructure components. Seventh, we need to actively encourage sustainable farming practices across the country. This will help to reduce climate-related risks to our food supply and ensure long-term food security for all Canadians. Implementing these changes has the potential to stabilize grocery prices, making them more predictable and manageable for families. Furthermore, it will significantly increase food security across Canada, ensuring that everyone has access to nutritious and affordable food. Ultimately, these measures will give Canadians a wider range of choices when it comes to their food, empowering them to make informed decisions. This is about more than just lower prices. It's about building a food system that is fairer, more resilient, and more sustainable for generations to come. Real lasting solutions are within our reach, but they require a collective effort and a commitment to act together as Canadians to build a better future for our food system. Not all Canadians feel the grocery crunch equally. In remote provinces and territories, food costs can be triple what they are in cities. Northern communities rely on expensive air delivery or truck delivery. When fuel prices rise, so do grocery bills. Programs like Nutrition North help, but not enough. Even within provinces, rural areas face higher prices and fewer choices. Geography and sparse populations make food distribution a challenge. Atlantic and northern regions bear the heaviest burden. National solutions must address these local realities. Canada's vastness is beautiful, but it makes feeding everyone fairly a real challenge. Watching grocery bills climb can feel hopeless, but change is possible. Governments need to act. No more studies, just real policies that help families now. Grocery chains must step up too, with transparency and responsibility. Consumers have power to support local farmers, demand better, and make food affordability a top issue. This isn't about politics, it's about making sure everyone can eat. Canada has the resources and innovation to fix this. From high-tech greenhouses to Indigenous foodways, solutions are within reach. It will take teamwork, government, business, and community. Let's work together so every Canadian can afford to fill their plate. It's time to turn anxiety at the checkout into hope at the dinner table.